The night before the Mass in which the Metropolitan Archbishops receive the pallium are kept in the Confessio of St. Peter's Basilica below the high altar where the bones of Peter are kept. So it's a sign of that communion with Peter and the first apostles and that apostolic succession that has been handed down in every generation, and the bishops being the successors to the apostles. So it's a very poignant sign of the communion that we share, bishops throughout the world with the head of the College of Bishops, the Bishop of Rome, going back all the way to the time of the apostles.
The first two readings for the feast of Peter and Paul have both Peter and Paul commenting on, giving thanks for the deliverance from being imprisoned or deliverance from persecution. But both of them later on, after that, found themselves imprisoned and persecuted and put to death. And so God has his purpose. God has his timetable.
Nella seconda lettura abbiamo ascoltato le commoventi parole di San Paolo: ho combattuto la buona battaglia, ho terminato la corsa, ho conservato la fede. Di quale battaglia si tratta? Non quella delle armi umane, che purtroppo insanguina ancora il mondo, ma è la battaglia del martirio. San Paolo ha un'unica arma: il messaggio di Cristo e il dono di tutta la sua vita per Cristo e per gli altri. Ed è proprio l'esporsi in prima persona, il lasciarsi consumare per il Vangelo, il farsi tutto a tutti, senza risparmiarsi, che lo ha reso credibile e ha edificato la Chiesa.
Pallium, has on the one hand, let's say, a very powerful symbolic value, if you will, in that this represents the gentleness and compassion of the Good Shepherd, who, instead of angrily driving the wandering sheep, ahead of him, get back to the fold, he, with gentleness and compassion, picks it up and carries it back on his shoulders so as to not tire out the sheep. So I'm for the sheep. I'm for the people. John Paul put it in one of the instructions to bishops: you're placed before the people of God in order to be for them. On the other hand, the pallium, represents a special connection with the Pope, Bishop of Rome, pastor of the Universal Church. So he's not just Bishop of Rome, but he's also has pastoral responsibilities for the Universal Church. And in a certain way, an archbishop has certainly responsibility for the Archdiocese of Dubuque, but also limited, qualified responsibilities for the province of Iowa. You were ordained and sent to be a bishop ultimately by somebody who knew Jesus. Because the apostles, they laid hands and commissioned others to continue what they did. Who then did likewise, who then did likewise, who then did likewise. So I can tell you, well, I was ordained a bishop by Archbishop Joseph Naumann in Kansas City. But there's a website that I can go to that tells me, and he was ordained by so-and-so, who was ordained by so-and-so, who was ordained by so-and-so, and I don't know, I think that particular website goes back to the 1600s or something, but ultimately it goes back to the apostles and Jesus. And so what I'm called to do is the same thing that the apostles were called to do, and that is to bring Jesus to people and to bring people to Jesus and to be a witness of what it means to be a follower of Jesus, which is to imitate him in what? In the gift of self.